Hey, what's up, guys? So this is just a quick video on band safety and, just taking care of the resistance bands so they last a longer time, as well as other ways to make sure that when you exercise with the EVO gym, you don't get injured or anything like that. So first of all, with the resistance bands, they all come with these black rubber guards. Now, for rare cases, you're going to have a situation where a rubber guard can tear and come off the band. Now, when this happens, you can still use it and the knots will still work, but you need to watch and make sure that you're not getting any tearing on the band, because over time this could happen. And if there is a cut on the band, anything substantial, then when you're pulling it, it could snap and, potentially hit you a little bit. But thankfully, it's not going to hit you that hard. They go up to 50 pounds and, it's not going to hit you with the full force of 50 pounds, but it's still something to be aware of and to be careful with. So you need to just make sure you don't have any cuts or anything on the bands when you're using them. If these guards come off, you can purchase new resistance bands, or if there's any damages to them that are outside of the norm before 6 months, you can reach out to me at mitchell@evogym.com and we'll replace them for you for free. You can also reach out to support@evogym.com. Now, another thing is to try and avoid using the EVO gym on a really rough surface like concrete, because of course if you're standing on top of the bands, if you're standing on the base and have the bands underneath and you're doing a lot of pulling and stretching on them when you're on a rough surface, then it's more likely to scratch them and damage them. Like sometimes, of course, you could just lay down a towel if you wanted to underneath and it would be perfectly fine. It's just mainly you want to avoid rough, sharp surfaces that could damage the bands during use. Another thing is that you probably don't want to leave them outside for an extended period of time or in an area where they can be wet. They're latex, and because of that, if you get like a lot of water on them over time, it could cause some deterioration as well as a lot of sunlight over time. That doesn't mean you should worry about taking the bands outside and using them or anything like that. But it does mean that if you want to leave them and store them somewhere, it should be in a controlled environment where they're not going to be getting constantly covered in water and having direct sunlight and heat on them. So that's just going to increase the longevity of the resistance bands, which would usually last anywhere from 6 months to 2 years, depending on your frequency of use. There's really no hard number for that. It really just depends on the person using it, how often they use it, and what kind of exercises they're doing with it. So other than that, okay, I'm going to move on and talk about just using the EVO gym, standing on the base and everything like that. So EVO gym is built to hold up basically anybody that uses it. But one thing that I want to say is if you're going to do hold on to a lot of weight with the resistance bands and you want to stand on your toes, for example, you're going to be putting a lot of pressure on the base. And we've tested it with people holding lots of weight. And of course I had an engineer stress test it in a model and make sure everything's okay. But if you are very heavy and you want to stand on your toes, I do recommend that you stand over the aluminum that goes through the center of the base. That's going to be a lot more firm, and it's going to have a lot less chance of anything happening to damage the EVO gym while you're using it. Definitely standing on the very edge of the base is the most dangerous thing to do in terms of causing damage to the base. Now, of course, if the plastic breaks a little bit or something, then it can be replaced and you're not going to get hurt, but it's something that you want to watch out for when you're taking care of it. It's very sturdy and strong, but these are just things that you want to do because there is a compromise at a certain point between the base being lightweight and portable and it being strong. So there are some upper limits to things where you just want to avoid those cases, those edge cases, just to be safe. If you do want to do that, then it's up to you, but you can't say that I didn't warn you. So the next thing that I want to say is if you're using the bands and they're directly in contact with your skin and you're pulling on them, like if, for example, you're doing a press, I recommend wearing a shirt because I've done them shirtless before and they can leave marks on your skin. They'll only last for a day or two, but I would really wear a shirt so that way you're not pulling on your skin, causing any bruising or anything like that. That's one of the reasons that I sold the protective sleeve that you can buy as an accessory with the EVO Gym. It just helps and makes it more comfortable, because if you want to have the bands directly on your back and you're using a lot of weight, when they stretch, it becomes a very small surface area that's pressing against your skin, as well as a pulling motion that's going in against your skin. So you can really get like some little marks that, in my experience, go away in a day or two, but aren't worth it. So that's it for that comment. In addition, if you have a latex allergy, then you definitely don't want to be using the EVO Gym in its current form, because the resistance bands are made out of latex. The reason for that is because they have the best range of motion in terms of, having a good resistance curve and actually being able to do like let's say you want to do an overhead press or a squat. Well, you need to move a lot for that movement, and for that you want something that's really stretchy, and natural rubber is the best way to achieve that. So if you're allergic to latex, then you might want to wait for in the future when we come out with something that is a TPE material that will be safe on your skin. Okay, so another point that I want to make that may seem pretty obvious to you is that if you want to use a door anchor or wall mount or a suspension trainer, you want to make sure that the point that it's being attached to is very stable. You don't want it to be something that's wobbly or anything like that, because then the resistance bands could pull it off, it could fly off and hit you in the face, and that could be really bad. Especially you don't want it to hit you in the eye, so be really careful with the point that you attach the resistance bands to. And one final note that I want to make is, if you've just started training, try to take it easy at first. If you're a complete beginner, you don't need to start really aggressive out of the gate. It's not dangerous to get really sore or anything like that, but it is dangerous to overstress your tendons and ligaments and things like that when you've just begun. So it's better to start slow, work your way up, become more advanced, over the course of a month or so, like up your frequency and volume over time, get used to exercising frequently, and then start upping the intensity a little bit more and focusing on progressive overload. But when you first start, just ease your way into it. Don't be too aggressive about it, because it's like with dieting and nutrition. If you just go super aggressive with it, you're not likely to stick to it. It's likely to be unpleasant and you're not going to enjoy it. So just ease your way into exercising, get used to it, and enjoy your time. So that's it for this video. I hope that it's helped you stay safe when using the EVO Gym, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.